Good evening, everybody. This is my intent maker, Deborah Vick, and here I'm going to show you how to make the zebra bracelet that several people have asked me to make a video on. And I'm going to show you how to use my trusty heat knife with using the cord from the My Intent makers. So without further ado, we're going to start showing you how to make the bracelet. Okay, so to start out with, we're going to measure out two strands here. And this is what I've mentioned before to some people. This is called a hobby knife or a heat knife. It has different places. I choose one that has an on-off button so that you can turn it off and you can turn it on. And obviously having a nice little stand like this works really well so that you have a place to set it, because these are really hot. I've been burned more than once. So they're really nice to have the stands for it. I'm going to measure out here. I know normally we use 13 inches for half of a bracelet. I'm going to measure this out to be about 10 inches here. And then these knives are really nice. This has been on for a little bit here. So all I need to do is take the knife and push it down, and it's going to cut right through it, and it also fuses it at the same time. So I have my intent token here. I've already stamped it Zebra Strong. And for this one, these beads are actually 8 millimeters, and the center hole is wide enough for one strand to go through. So what I like to do for this one is do the same way we normally start the My Intent bracelets, and have our string go through. After we put the loops at the top, have the string go through the sides. And I started using this heat knife back a couple years back when I saw it used at Maker Faire for paracord bracelets. And I do a lot with paracord with my Cub Scouts and Boy Scouting, so I love to use heat knives. It makes the life a lot easier. Pull this nice and tight, and then what I like to do right here in the beginning is go into the back. Make sure this is on nice and snug where I want it to be. You can see the title, my stamping, Zebra Strong. And then I'm going to go straight into the back here and carefully cut this off at the same time as fuse it in place. So ideally just hold it down very lightly and then push flat so that it seals it. And one side is now sealed down. You see it real close up here. Sure, I can show it. See real close there, it's sealed up and nice and flat. I have my trusty helper here.
It's not focusing.
Okay, pull it back a little bit.
It's better over there.
So here you can see it is nice and flat and flush with the bracelet itself. Now this edge here, I believe I must have used a scissor because it's not sealed. So I'm just going to take this here and cut it and seal it. And then for this bracelet, I have been using these 8 millimeter lava beads. And for some reason, this one's not going to go through, so I'm going to go to a little bit bigger hole one. Not all created equal. And sometimes I find I need to put a little bit extra hole through, but this one's going through nicely. So for this pattern, I'm using this acrylic 8 millimeter bead that has a hole that's just about our 1 millimeters. I find when these are fused edges here, it works really nice and smooth to cut, make it easy to go through the holes, because the edge is already finished. And for those who follow my earlier posts, I had sent a bracelet to a young lady who was in the hospital, well, still in the hospital, who has Ehlers Danlos, amongst other things. And her sister also has a lot of similar problems with Ehlers Danlos and other secondary disorders as well. And so I'm sending her one, a matching one, to her sisters. And you can see here, these beads are going on pretty smoothly. Again, I love the My Intent cord, but the nice wax to it makes it very easy for it to slide the beads onto, as well as to use my heat knife, which makes it really easy to do the slip knots and the finishing knots, and just to cut through it makes it much easier. I also find that it holds up better long-term wise compared to just plain string or a macrame string. I want to say I used set. Here. My trusty cameraman would stop jumping. That would be so helpful.
What do you need?
Thank you. We're good. We're going to put one more of these on, the lava beads on. Okay, this one is going through. This one here. I think my cameraman is adjusting here.
How do you make it zoom?
We're good. They can see.
I need to duct tape it here.
Leave it right there, sir. Thank you. And then I like to just finish it off with a little of this little silver antique bead here. Hi again, we're back. Again, I'm going to now work on the other side. I just paused the video while I was finishing up that side over the first side. Again, I'm going to just show you, I cut the string with my trusty heat knife, making my loop, bringing it over. In a few seconds, I'll just pause it again as I finish up the beading. I just wanted to show you again one time, again, how I was sealing it off at the edge up by the token itself. I found this to hold up really well when I do it this way. And this one here, you can see I had a macrame string because these were very small malachite beads and this would not fit through here. I've ordered new ones so that I can get nice, thick, easier to use this string again. Once again, I'm just going to take my heat knife, hold it back as I'm cutting this down, and I hold it sideways, flatten it out, and seal it at the same time. And this is the same way that I finish up all my paracord bracelets, or run the Scouts to paracord bracelets, so that it's nice and sealed, finished. You don't have to use a lighter. It makes it really easy to do it this way. And it also goes nice and flush, and even with lighter colors, it doesn't usually leave much of a mark. This is the same one I had before that didn't quite go through. I'm going to pause it once again, and I will finish up with my slip knot that I use at the end. Hi guys, I'm back again. As I really don't know the exact first size for the young lady who's getting this one as well, I decided to, instead of just doing a slip knot, I made these a little bit shorter on the sides, and I'm going to do just a simple macrame or cobra stitch. It's known as both. I know as a cobra stitch because that's what we call it with paracord, and when I first learned how to do it many, many years ago, it's what I was taught it as when I learned how to do it on lanyards. And I know I mentioned to some people that I will do a video with it using 2 different color strings so that you can kind of see what is happening. But for now, I'm going to just do it with black because that's what I have here. And let me just get it started. And the way that I normally teach it to people, normally it's a little bit, you have like the letter circle like you would have for letter P, and then the tail. And you have one side go over the tail, and then under the tail, and through the hole. And it's kind of hard to show right here with this, but I will show with 2 different color strings so you guys can get a little bit more idea of what's happening. But I make a loop on one side, which is over my 2 strings, and then I take the other end, the other string, and go over the tail, and then it goes under everything and through the hole. And then alternate sides. That's how you get the flat cobra style. When you see me do it with 2 different colors, you'll see how it's easier to follow which side you use the little loop on. When it gets twisted, it's how you know you have to undo it and do the loop back on the other end. under the tail, under my middle strings, and through the other side. Tighten it up. And there's always little tricks too to know which side you're making a loop on. When you finish one side, when it's the side you're making a loop on this side sticks up a little bit higher, and you know that's when it's going over the tail, under the strings, and through the center. And I'm just going to finish this up, a couple more stitches. Okay, so we're back again, and I am just finished up here. I've done a good section, a decent sized section here for the macrame. I don't know if you can see it, how well it came out in there. I'm trying to use this video camera, my camera, and my phone to try to see how it's looking. And so that's how I did that much in there, just because the way the pattern layout, it didn't let me do too much of the beads, and yet I needed it to have obviously adjustability. Since I don't know the person's size, exact size wrists, I didn't get that dimensions. But here, you can slide it. It slides just like any slide bead would. And now this is the tricky part here. When you want to fuse the ends here, you use your heat knife, but you carefully do it so that, in a way that it doesn't affect the sliding part. So I like to, and I do it, I cut it at the same time as I lay it flat against the side, so as to make it smooth. Maybe go back, touch a little bit there, but it doesn't affect the ability of it to slide. And of course, careful not to cut your strings that you're actually using for your bracelet, and that you're only cutting the string that is on the little macrame slide there. That cuts it and seals it. Not quite. No, it did. Now that I have that on, I have it, and I just make sure it slides. Slides both directions now, and it's adjustable. And now I'm just going to put a finishing bead on the end, and an overhand knot, and then seal it off. Now these heat knives, you can get them at local stores. I've gotten mine at craft stores, especially when you use those 50% off coupons. Works great. A lot of times they come with different types of tips great for soldering and other types of things. They also can be used for wood carving, a lot of variety of activities. That's why they're called hobby knives or hobby heat knives. I'm just checking on my own wrist to make sure what size to have the string. I think I have about here. Of course, I want to have them as even as possible. And I kind of lean on the side of extra string if need be, so that the people who are putting it on have enough wiggle room to get it on and off. Make sure both ends are even. Put it on the other. I'll have to adjust that in a second. I just want to make sure it's something that can be gotten on. about right. And now I'm again going to do my trusty heat knife over here, and I'm just going to cut off the extra. And it's just going to slice it through like butter. And I gotta sometimes make it a little bit flat there. And this one right here, same thing. Now another bracelet, I'll show you the other slip knot that I do. That's more like when I was taught how to whip the ends of a rope in scout training. But this works really well. And now here's a bracelet for her that will be adjustable and yet has her Zebra Strong message to give her a little bit of hope and encouragement during those challenging times that she's facing right now. So thank you for tuning in, and I will show you how to do this spiral stitch that I've done with the well, this is a half edge or half knot that I did with this cord, as well as the round bracelet. But I also did it, I have it that I was working with 2 different colors to help show people so they can make it a little bit easier to see what is happening with the bracelets. But for now, I'm going to sign off and say thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed watching how I created this Zebra Strong bracelet for a fellow zebra right now, so that she can enjoy it and have a little bit of extra, positive message going through the days when she's having some rough times. So thank you, and have a good night, and Happy New Year to everybody.